All right, guys, well, let's get started. So today, I don't have a huge agenda. I wanted to really talk about the changing market. I've got some notes, some actionable things to talk about, but I mean, the truth is, let me look at everybody in this meeting. Yeah, everybody here and everyone in this meeting did not go through the last recession. So, I mean, beyond going through it, we weren't in the business when it happened. So this is all kind of new territory for us. Not that we're in the middle of a real estate recession, but as Craig Benson always says, it's only what, 2 back-to-back quarters negative GDP.
Yeah, for
equals
economic recession.
Yep, equals an economic recession, and that will be into this quarter most likely. Yep. Yeah, so we'll technically be in a recession, but as we know, not all recessions are the same, right? The last recession was specifically a real estate recession. It was caused by poor lending practices and so on, whereas this one is, you know, related to a lot of things. So anyways, yeah, kind of wanted to talk about the state of the market and just kind of brainstorm and roundtable how people are, you know, going into listing appointments, how people are going into writing offers, considering that it is a different market. So yeah, let's open it up. I got some notes. I'm going to share an article I read yesterday, but some more news that will affect the housing market, probably not immediately, but within 18 months. For the first time since COVID, lumber prices are going down. They're down actually 20%. So it's actually, it's a pretty big decrease. So that should cause more inventory. So we already have higher interest rates, which is causing less buyers and slightly more inventory. I have some MLS reports from the year that I'll share in a minute, but we have slightly more inventory already, less buyers already, and now potentially more inventory to come. So that should make even more of an even market. That was more so just a fun fact. You know, it was.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
I appreciated it. I could read on the deck now.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, right. Rebuild deck. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking.
We're just taking it out.
I just spent like $5,000 on material loan for a deck. I couldn't believe it. I know. It's like the person who bought Bitcoin at 65,000. Let's go to the moon. Oh man.
I feel personally attacked.
I do. Yeah. Okay, so this is the first thing I wanted to like start the roundtable talking about. So people are still, I'd say most listings are still listing multiple, listing as if they're expecting multiple offers, right? They have like directions on like, hey, here's how to make your offer most attractive. Here's the offer review date. But in my opinion, I'm working with a few buyers right now. I'm going into those situations a lot differently because I don't want to, like in the past, I don't want to, in the past, I'd be like, all right, they're going to get 20 offers. Let's play with our cards on the table. What's the highest you'll go? Okay, we're putting that on the escalation. We'll beat them by $5,000. What's the highest we can do on the 2280? Are we waiving the inspection? If not, we're saying the inspection's for informational purposes only, right? And it didn't, and it's like, it didn't hurt your buyer because it was like, this is the only chance we have. But now it's like, they might have 0 offers, in which case writing an escalation clause potentially could be a negative thing, right? Because you're showing your cards and you're telling people you will go, you know, up to a certain point and they have no offers and now you have no room to negotiate. So I'm just curious, how are other people going? How are you guys going into offer situations now, considering that you might be the only offer, or one of 2 or one of 3? I mean, very, very rarely, I would say in the past month, have I seen more than like 6 offers. I've seen it, but really rare.
Well, this buyer that I just went to the inspection with, so we went under contract for 2 homes yesterday, both at list price, both 2-day inspection. Obviously no 2280 because why? And we were accepted on both of them at list price. And then the one that we have with Craig, also list price, that was a waived inspection, because we kind of like forced into that.
And same with our last one.
And then our last one was at list price too. Like we are just not like offering
Yeah.
over.
And that one, we actually had to convince the buyer to, hey, we're not gonna go 20 grand over. We're gonna go in at list price.
Well, so how do you do that? That was actually kind of more so my question. And I really don't have an answer to this. I'm really curious to hear what everybody has to say. But like so you have a client who the home's listed at 500, the client's put 550 and they love it. They're like, Isaac, I really want this home. What do I have to do to get this home? And I call a listing broker. I'm like, bro, they don't have any offers. Like, let's just come in at list price. And then somebody comes in at 505 and you don't get it. And now they're pissed. So what do you do to avoid that situation? And this is a total selfish question because I'm dealing with this right now where I have an offer review date tonight and my client really wants this home. We can go way higher than it's listed at, but I don't think they have to go higher. I don't think they have any offers, but I don't know 100%. So I'm actually asking everyone for advice on my offer situation. What would you do?
So one thing that I will say that, Robin and Christy do super, super well is they build rapport with the listing. And literally it just comes down to you building that rapport and then going, what's most important to your sellers? What can we do to make this the most attractive offer for you? What would you guys like to see? And at that point, most of the time, if there's an offer that came in a little bit more, they're going to come back and be like, hey, we got this. Can you guys match
I think that's
this
great
a little
advice.
bit
Yeah.
up? So rapport building is even more important right now, to be honest with you.
Did everybody on the video call hear that?
Yeah, I mean, if my client and the selling agent are cool with escalations, like a $10,000 escalation in $2,000 chunks, like that's nothing, like it's an easy gamble to take.
I always follow up on like today, like you're having your offer review period, I would call them and just be like, hey, we're super pumped. Like, is there anything that we could do to, what can we change? Is there anything we could change? Like, do you have any other offers? Everybody always says like they appreciate the communication.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like so in this case, the listing broker, because it's all about me, so I'm just going to talk about my situation. 100%. The listing broker is not telling me anything. Like, yeah, we've had a lot of interest. How many offers? Can't really tell you that. All right. I mean, I get that, honestly. It's actually pretty smart because what it's making me do is it's making me sweat and be like, you don't have any offers, but maybe you do. And now, so I think they are more like, it's all about creating rapport with the listing broker. I agree with that. But then I think after you submit the offer too, following up, and then you might get a better vibe from them. Like, hey, how are we looking? And I think they're more likely to slip up at that point and say like, yeah, you're in second place or something like that. But I agree with you, Robin. I mean, there's a really good argument to be made that like, well, what's the harm in putting a 10,000 2280, like 10,000 above list price? Go 510. What's the harm? Like if they counter you at 510 when you offered 500 with 10,000 35E, you can say, hell no, like that's not how a 35E works. So there's no risk in doing that. The only risk, I guess, is that they'll just counter you, and then, but you as a buyer can just say, no, that's not how the escalation clause works.
And the other thing with that too, that Robin brought up, which you said $2,000 chunks. That's way down where you're like looking at minimum 5,000.
Yeah,
over the last 2 years,
I agree with
right?
that.
So that also taking less risk. So you can do it in smaller chunks now too.
Yeah.
So, which is huge.
Yeah.
Two things I would say.
I also sometimes tend to, what a surprise, I'm kind of brazen. So I'll try to pull comps to figure out what it'll appraise for, and then I'll come up with a number. So when I call the agent, I'll say, it looks like you priced it at 390. I was finding comps that looked pretty accurate from 375 to 400 because the market has cooled down. If we came in at 395, 5 above list price, would we be in good competition? And like something about saying the number, I can get people to sweat a little more and be like, well, I mean, yeah, that's good, and like all of a sudden this person that wasn't going to tell me if they had offers in hand is like, well, so yeah.
Go ahead, Kim, you were going to say something.
So
The comment you said about the listing agent saying it can't really say.
Well, that's not true. Yeah, I know.
Well-
She was playing the game.
Well, no, if she's not telling if there's any other offers, that to me indicates there's no other offers.
100%.
Because if you have other offers, I have never encountered a listing agent that has not said, they won't always say anything about the offers. But I would say if he's like not willing to say it because I can't really say kind of thing, there's no other offers.
I
Why
agree
would
with
you not
I
say
agree
there's
with
other
100%.
offers?
Yeah.
So just to clarify, I agree with you completely. And
But
I
there's
love
always that
negotiating.
chance you're worried.
Yeah, I love negotiating. I love like, I get like the thrill of like trying to save $1,000 for my client, which is kind of silly because $1,000 is not much on a 30-year loan, but I'm like excited about trying to do that.
Exactly $1,000.
Anyways, so it's just tough when you have a client who's like, don't lose this from me, Isaac.
Yeah.
Like, I agree with you. I'm like, no, this is, they don't have
But the
offers.
what if? but
What
yeah.
if? Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think because he's essentially giving me permission, I'm just gonna go with what Robin said, even though I think there's a chance that it could slightly backfire. He doesn't really care about a few $1,000s. He just wants to bring it home. So I think we'll probably use an escalation clause, but that was helpful. I think that was good to just kind of hear people's different thoughts. I have a really similar topic, like along the exact same vein, but does anybody else want to add to that at all?
Yeah, I'll throw it in there. Have your lender call.
Yeah.
Because a different person calling and asking different questions, they tend to slip up. a bit,
Oh, that's
too.
a really good point.
They
That's a
do
really good
tend to
point.
slip up. And
Yeah.
especially when you're going through and explaining how awesome the plan is, they get a little bit softer all the way through. So always have your lender call.
Yeah.
To go through financing, and poke those questions a little bit.
That's
Yeah,
really
'cause we
good.
just had a listing agent that was like, I can't believe your lender called on a weekend. Yep.
No, it's-
Talking about.
Yeah, I always use Craig as a playing card as well.
Sorry, we were all laughing. What'd you say, Robin?
I said I always use Craig as like a playing card, honestly, because it had clout to your offer, you know, especially if you toured it shortly after it went on market, you made contact with the agent, and then you kept consistently following up before the review date, and then Craig's also called them. It feels like they know that if they decided to work with you, it's going to be buttoned up tight.
Yep. So, same topic, just slightly different vein. What do you do when you're a listing broker and you have interest? Like, let's throw out the ones where you don't have any showings. If you don't have any showings, you're probably going to talk very different than how that is. But you've had showings, but you have no offers. You have people saying, yeah, we might write an offer, but we don't really know. So now totally flipping the script, how are you going about talking to buyer's agents? Because you want to stir it up, get more for your client, but at the same time, you don't want to say like, oh yeah, we got multiple offers coming, and then scare people away who are just going to come in at list price when that might be the best you can. That's one that is almost harder for me. What do you say from the listing broker's point of view to buyers brokers?
You know what I've had a lot of lately is listing agents using reverse prospecting and calling me or emailing me and letting me know, hey, this just came on market. We're having an open house on Saturday. This was in, an email to one of your clients. Here's the listing flyer and all the good information. And I've been like really surprised because it's just been like the last month that's been happening a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, homes, the average day on market has increased by like 6.5 in like 3 months.
Which is, let's be honest, that's healthy and normal. But
Oh, totally.
after the last 2 years, it seems like, oh my God, what's wrong with this house? It should be dead. Let's tear it down.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, let's be real. 5.5% interest rates are actually historically very low.
Yeah, they are.
It's just earth shattering when we've had 2.5%.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely interesting.
I think being realistic and setting expectations, I'm going on a listing appointment tonight. So setting expectations that the market's turning to understand you know, it's not gonna be on the market. It could be on the market for hours and get grabbed, but to adjust expectations for sellers as well, because they've been seeing what's going on and that's what they think is going to happen. It's not happening.
Yeah, no, I agree that it starts in the preparation and setting the right expectation for the seller. I think we did a meeting about this earlier, but I showed people a spreadsheet I made. Cue, roll eyes, there we go. All right.
Unless you're packed in.
Yeah, yep, no, it's all good. Yep. Yep. Okay, so a spreadsheet I made that showed the difference between payments at a $750,000 home in December versus now. It was like 3.75 interest rate versus 5.5 interest rate, and the payment was $920 more per month. So I've gone on a couple of listing appointments recently, and I've literally brought that spreadsheet and shown them that and said, you know, the market hasn't dipped yet, but this is the reality. This is what buyers are looking at. And so buyers who could have afforded your home in December literally can't. So the people who are looking at your home now are people who were qualified for homes that were $200,000 more 6 months ago. So anyways, like you said, Kim, just kind of setting the expectation for sellers. I agree. That's probably the key.
I mean, the biggest thing is it's data always wins, right?
Yeah.
So take a snapshot of what's happened over the last month, even like 2 weeks, to be able to present that, right? And that will always win when you can actually back it up with numbers going through.
Yeah.
So, preparation, 100%. How that conversation should go with talking to other agents when you're trying to get some stuff going on. I mean, I think the reverse prospecting, 100% for every showing that's come through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be, everybody should be touched.
I think my answer would be like, first off, be honest. Like, now's not the time to skirt the truth. Don't say we have multiple offers when you have multiple people saying you're writing offers. You know what I mean? Just say exactly what's happening. You know, we've had 10 showings. I have no offers currently. Lots of optimism that I'm getting offers, but nothing in hand currently. That can't backfire, right? That's pure honesty. If you don't get any offers, then that is what it is. If you get multiple offers, then you go back to them and tell them now you actually do have multiple offers. But that's probably the best way to go about it. Don't overthink the strategy, which I'm notorious for doing. Trying to squeeze out that extra little bit for my clients. It's probably not the time to do that.
I would say going with honesty is good, but
Yeah.
vague enough honesty, like you were saying, where you're like, we're expecting multiple offers, but
Yeah.
right now, nothing in hand.
Yeah.
I had a client who the listing agent on something we made an offer on, where we were escalating about 100 grand over. Could have had us at 85 grand, but decided to lie about it and didn't want to show us the other offer because they didn't have one. And we just went, nope, we're done now because you don't want to show us the other offer. So no, we're absolutely not going to do that.
Yeah.
And they cost their client 85 grand. It's not the time to be messing around with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I think so. I just had kind of a not an ideal listing situation. Devin had helped these very sweet buyers buy a house, but that was contingent on them listing their house. So we had to put it on market within 5 days, and they went pending on Thursday. So we ended up listing on Tuesday because everything came together pretty fast. But it was across Memorial Day weekend. So we decided to set a really long offer review date. I think it was like a full week, because I wanted to get as many showings in and pre-inspections as I could. There was an agent who came in. She said her clients wanted to write an offer. They did not want to go over list price, but they could basically go pending that night. And I told them that my clients did not want to accept their offer because there were some other terms that the buyers were kind of weak on. And I was like, well, if you'd like, why don't you resubmit, but with an extension so it expires on the review date? And I won't tell anyone what you've given me. Like, I don't think that's very nice, even though I do it to other people. And I will just hold your offer and I'll keep you posted. And so the agent sent in the offer, and I didn't tell any of the other buyer's agents what the offer was, but I did tell them, I have an offer in hand. I have a lot of other offers I'm expecting because there was 3 other agents that said they wanted to write. Day of review ended up only having the 2 offers, but the second offer did the escalation. And so we turned in the first offer to prove the escalation was warranted and ended up getting 15 grand over asking. So it's pretty cool.
That is cool. Are people seeing, we had a meeting about this like a month ago, but are people seeing below 2.5% interest, 2.5% commissions being offered more? I am personally.
I'm seeing 2% everywhere.
What'd you say?
I haven't been seeing that yet.
Is that a thing?
I've been seeing a lot of 2% in Tacoma.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of 2%, not necessarily less than that. I just wanted to remind everybody of like, I mean, it's totally up to you. One cool thing about the 100% commission is we don't care what you charge your clients, but I care because I think you're worth at least 2.5% at least. And I think you need to value yourself accordingly. And just a reminder, when I talk to a buyer for the first time, I talk to them about a lot of things, but one thing I talk to them about is how I get paid. And sorry if you've been to meetings where I've talked about this before, but I say I get paid from the seller. Standard commission is 2.5% to 3%. If it's anywhere between, if it's 3%, great. If it's 2.5%, great. Anywhere in between, great. That's fine. But there are some sellers who will offer less than 2.5%. If that happens, we'll use an addendum that that says our offer is contingent on me making 2.5%. Is that okay? In which case, they sometimes need a little more elaboration. What does that mean? I say, well, you still don't pay my commission. The seller does, but if they're offering 0 commission, now our offer is going to look a little less attractive because we're saying your closing costs are essentially going to be higher. And I get them that at that moment to agree to that, to agree that like I'm going to make 2.5% commission minimum regardless. So then when we see a listing that's at 2%, I say, hey, sorry guys, but it's at 2%, so we're just going to use 41C like we talked about. And they say, cool, that's great, no problem. So it hasn't been a problem for me because of that. And yeah, it makes our offer less attractive. So we have to be maybe a little more aggressive, but especially now that we're seeing way less multiple offer situations, it's really not a hard conversation. So I really would not roll over. I would not compromise on that. We're working our butts off. Like, you deserve 2.5% commission on the low. So I had a note to talk about 41Cs. And yeah, I really encourage everyone to use that. And also, this is my opinion, but if you represent the seller and they're like, well, it's still a seller's market, or the market's going down, so I want to save some money and offer 2% commission. I think that would be a dramatic mistake, like really, really big mistake, because now that there is more inventory, it's like there's never been a better argument to pay more than 2.5%, honestly, because you want to separate your listing. If someone sells life insurance and 2 life insurances pay 1 commission and another one pays like half of that, which one is life insurance company going to, which one is the agent going to want to sell? He's going to want to sell the one that pays a higher commission. So now that there's a lot of listings to choose from and your client sends you 10 to see on Saturday, but you only have time for 5 and 3 of them have 2% commissions. Oh, sorry, they weren't available. Like, that's not unlike that. Agents are just going to be like, oh, sorry, I couldn't get those ones scheduled. Wink, wink. So anyways, kind of twofold there. Don't tell your sellers to not be cheap on the buyer's office commission.
But if you're on the buyer side and you're submitting an offer and you submit that 41C, so do you get kickback then from them?
No. The seller still pays the whole commission.
But can they like say, no, we're not willing to like meet you at the 2.5%, 3% that you're requesting?
I mean, they can not accept your offer. They
Yeah,
can
they
counter
can
your
try
offer.
to counter it and strike it from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like any other addendum. Yeah, it's if you say seller to pay $5,000 in buyer's closing costs, they can cross it off, say 2,500 or 0. So it's the same as that. I've never had it happen, honestly. I've had our offer not get accepted because we used, I mean, maybe because we used 41C. I mean, ultimately because our net offer was not as high as another net offer, right? I've never had a buyer say no, never. And I've never had them counter us on that because all a seller is going to look at is a net, right?
Yeah.
They're just going to say, okay, fine. So they want, I mean, if I ask for a 10% commission, but I offered 100,000 more in the next offer, who are they going to go with? They're going to go with my offer, right? So commission is just closing costs. That's all it is.
Awesome. That's good to know.
Yeah. Andrew, you're being awfully quiet.
Just listen, I got the information. I think a lot of this boils down to on both sides, just preparation, like having really good, solid quality conversations with clients, either on the buyer side or the seller side, just kind of piggyback on what you were saying earlier. You know, the fact is that things are changing, right? Sellers aren't, they're not holding all the cards anymore. And I think if you have sellers communicating that in the nicest way possible, like, hey, we might have to compete a little bit. You know, we can't just throw it up and set the market in your neighborhood anymore. Like, we're gonna have to do a little bit more. You're gonna have to be competitive for us. And I think that having those conversations early is gonna alleviate a lot of problems later. Almost.
Question for you, if you, and then for everybody, if you had to sell your home in 45 days, you personally, or let's say 75 days actually. So you're not like super time rush, but you have to sell because you're being relocated. So you're the real estate broker because it's your home, and comps for your home are 475. You're pretty consistently, that's where comps are coming. Considering that comps are, past 6 months, most likely, you're not really looking at, most of the comps are not probably coming from the past month, right? Or maybe 1 or 2 are. Where are you listing your home? I mean, pricing a home is more subjective than that. Let's say objectively, comps are coming in at 475. Where do you list your home tomorrow?
So, I mean, if you're given, a 45-day, gotta be gone, it's a little different than 75 days, right?
Let's say 75 days. Yeah.
If it's 75 days.
Your goal is to be sold in 75 days and to get the most you can. Those are your 2 goals.
I would own stuff in the last 30 days. So I would look at those 2 that were on the market for the last 30 days. I think that's a much better snapshot than the last 6 months.
Did you guys hear that? He said he would take much more heat essentially in the 2 that sold in the past 30 days, as opposed to, the 10 that sold 5 months before, which I think is a really good point.
So if they were at, 460 to 470, I might look at 465 instead of 475.
Yeah.
I would put a lot more weight on those things.
Yeah, I think the problem with that is though, even those comps don't necessarily work because those are really 60-day old comps because that's when they went pending.
Yeah.
Right? A home that sold 30 days ago is really sold 60 days ago.
So then you call all the pendings and find out what they went.
Hey, that's really good advice. I wasn't thinking about that. That's a really good point. Chris, did you guys hear what Christy said? She said call the pendings as opposed to worry about the solds and see where they're at. That's actually really.
That'll be your comps right there. Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that at all. Yeah, that's again, today is
All about us.
me pretending like I'm doing this for everybody else, but I'm like, I got a listing appointment. Well, that's not true. I have listing pictures today. We haven't decided on a list price, and I'm really struggling with it because it really seems 565. But then there's 2 recent comps, and I'm like, what are you doing? And one's like active for 14 days, and it's a really perfect comp. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, market's definitely changing. And I think where I'm going to go with that is I'm going to, just be humble, right? Go into the appointment where we decide on the price and just say, look, man, here's the price. Here's what makes sense because the sold. Here's what's on the market. Here's what's pending. It's lower. They're good comps. What do you want to do? Like, we have the same goal here. Like, I'm not trying to, I make more money if your home sells for more, but I think you'd be making a mistake if you listed that high. So
I think that's a good point too. It's just, you take the 30,000 foot view, right? And then you actually do get more and more micro with it.
Yeah.
And that's the way you have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see if I had anything else on my list to talk about. That's about all I had. Does anybody have any, since I use that to educate myself, does anybody else have anything that, you know, they're seeing in this changing market that they think, that you think would be good to talk about? Has anyone been selling a lot in King County? I sold quite a bit there last year, and this year I've had one. And I'm curious if King County is seeing, well, yeah, I mean, Craig, what are you seeing in King? For those who don't know, Craig Benson is here. He's with, I almost said your own company, sorry. He's with Cross Country Mortgage. And he does do a lot of work in King County. Yes, what are you seeing, Craig?
Yeah, it's still super hot, to be honest with you. There's still a lot going on. King County, there's not a lot that can be developed. And it is still super desirable, especially when you get to the outer, like outside of directly in Seattle, right? So you get to, you know, Shoreline, kind of a little bit north and get a little bit on the east side. It's still a very, very competitive market, actually.
So lots of multiple offers still.
You're still, I mean, it's not, you're not getting 50, right? But you are getting probably about 5, 6 on every single property.
Yeah.
Same as in Homer County.
I'm seeing here the lower price range, like I'd say under 500, is still really high. But there's been some exceptions. Wasn't yours, Kim, under 500?
Yeah.
Yep. And then Kyle's had some in the lower price range that sat a little bit. But yeah, I'm seeing some just, I'm seeing more so the higher price range homes sit, and the lower price range homes are still getting multiple offers, but even some exceptions there.
I mean, really what the market reminds me of is 2018, where you had rates go up a bit and stuff did sit for a little bit longer. And anything that's higher price is always going to be on market for a bit longer, right? And even more so because everybody's trying to adjust to what this market is now, all buyers, and what their payments truly look like now. I mean, you are going to see stuff sit for a little bit longer, and it's not getting nervous about stuff sitting for a little bit longer. That's the main thing. You just can't get nervous about it. There's tactics you can put into place to help your home sell if you are getting nervous about it, offering a little bit of seller credit for either pay for closing costs for the buyers or putting towards the rate, honestly, to help buy down and help the payments look better. And it's better than getting something under this price.
Yeah. Well, if we don't have anything else to talk about, I have a good way of ending this. Craig Benson is the only person I know in the industry right now who is incredibly optimistic.
You're welcome, everybody.
He's very optimistic about the next 12 months. And Craig, I want you to explain, because I think you're full of it.
Oh, we know you.
What are the factors that makes you think, because I believe what you said was by May of next year, the market will be up by, did you say 6%?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So you have to look historically at what's happened during these times. Interest rates are, let's face it, we're in the middle of a recession. We just haven't said it yet. It's not a real estate recession. It's just an economic recession. So you have to look at historically what has happened during these trends. You see rates rise, obviously. You see them go for about 12 to 18 months, and then you see them come back down. That has been historically, that is what has happened. We're in a unique spot up here in the Northwest. We can't build east, we can't build west. We have water, we have mountains. We have a complete total lack of land going on. We still have a lack of inventory going on. We really do. We have the millennial home buying generation coming into peak first-time home buying age. And the peak of the millennial home buying generation isn't for another 2-3 years. They're also coming in with base salaries that we've never seen before in the 6 figures. That's their starting base salary. Are we gonna see the appreciation regress? Yes. I mean, 20% appreciation year over year was completely unsustainable. It wasn't gonna happen. We're gonna regress back towards the 20-year historical average of about 6.5%. And we're still gonna see the appreciation going on. It's just, that's where we're headed. That's it. There's nothing that says that home prices are going to drop.
I love it.
And I think that Isaac almost just threw himself through the window.
No, I mean,
Wait, so you think that there's no factors at all, signs whatsoever, the price?
You gotta look historically and what has happened. Every time we go into a recession, everybody freaks out about it once. 2008 when it literally was the housing market cost recession. Otherwise, nope, actually appreciation every other time in the housing market, especially in the Northwest.
So what about like the reasons that interest rates dropped in the first place? What about?
Yep, so
inflation?
that-
What about all the other factors that the 2008 was specific to real estate?
100%.
This is gonna be what we're gonna see over the next couple of years. Again, I don't know, first of all, I'm just,
That's exactly right. We don't. So it's just
So the things that we see, if we do see stuff happen in the next couple of years, are gonna be because of something else.
Mhm.
So it seems like there are much more factors that are gonna attribute to the drop in price than none at all.
no, there's actually less. Because again, we're not gonna have more inventory. So as a whole,
But hang on, so I'll push back another little bit. So we stopped building for almost a year. We started building in the next 9 to 12 months. There's supposed to be a whole bunch of new builds finished. There's gonna be a lot of new stuff on the market, and with interest rates going up, it's probably gonna take some of the buyers away. So instead of 10 buyers to every one house, it'll maybe be a buyer to every house. So I mean, it'll probably sustain, but you really don't think it's gonna drop?
but here's what we have to see the fact too. So over the last decade, we have been building houses at a deficit of 1 million homes a year.
Sure.
That's just not, you can't make that up.
Yeah.
You're just never going to.
Great.
That just happened. Builders now, new construction isn't entry level homes. Because they can spend $50,000 more on the build and put it into luxury market. They are not building entry level homes. There is no new construction that's entry level. And there's no incentive for them to do it. They can make more money.
What do you consider entry level? Because there's plenty of stuff between like the 4 and the 6 range.
That's new build,
Yeah, I mean, there's,
depending on the areas, but
nothing in Tacoma. but
yeah,
there's
exactly.
probably-
So
No way you can.
exactly. So again, that's why people are being pushed out further. But in the major metropolitan areas, you have nothing that's going to be entry level, which would be probably, 550, 600. I guess probably about 600 now, but
You don't think that when you go to the store and you're paying, $8 for 12 eggs and gas is at $7, there's not gonna be just people stepping back in general, being like, holy shit, this is kind of scary.
100%. But you also, what is the other option? You go rent, and your rent is equal to or more than the mortgage.
I mean, maybe,
Okay,
right?
by all
I
means.
mean, well, I think that you're thinking, we're not talking about the person who makes, I have a lot of friends who make between $60,000 and $80,000. They got pushed out a year and a half of it.
100%.
Right? And so you're looking at people making over $100,000 a year, probably this might not affect as much, but that's still shrinking the buyer group.
So here's the thing. We were already in a healthy market in 2018 before we had the rates drop.
Sure.
Rates dropped and people who could not afford a home were also able to.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back to the mean. We're literally just going back to the mean of where we were. Which is 6.5% appreciation year over year.
Sure.
So are we gonna see negative? No, we're not. And again, we don't have the inventory that's going to get fulfilled where we go back. And we'd be good to go.
You betting man.
100% already have them going.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say that.
100%. I love it. Anyone else wants to jump in? Let's do it.
I told Craig when we made the bet, I said, I'll be so happy to pay this bet. Oh, man, that was good. See, I needed somebody else besides me to push back.
Yeah, he actually, I was not gonna lie, for last week in episode, I hope someone else brings something up, because I don't want to just sit there and debate you.
I mean, just so, I think you're wrong. I'd love to buy
That's
you here and
fine.
talk about it, but I hope you're right. Like it's.
That's how I feel. Yeah.
Again, you guys have to, again, take that 30,000 foot view, what historically has happened.
Sure.
There is no data to support the decrease in home prices of going into, depreciating instead of having the appreciation going on. Besides 2008, which that was just lenders messed up, and it was caused from real estate. And up here again, we are in a bubble. You have to look at the 2008 market up here. We were hit so much less than the rest of the country was. We are very unique up here. What is our economy based on for the most part?
Our local economy?
Yeah.
JBLM.
Well,
Tech?
here, I guess, yeah, tech is what it really is. Sure. That's not going anywhere. It's not gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
Okay, this is since we're all just predicting. Obviously, this is not. We're not holding Craig to anything. Wait, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying that, like, I see where it is coming from.
I think that
The
just
economic change, like. and
building a
shit.
deck, the materials, $5,000. Gas is at, $5.50 right now, and no sign of stopping. And I don't, eggs, toilet paper, everything you buy normally, everything is going up. I think that's gonna play a factor in just like the psyche of wanting to buy something.
Yeah.
Usually, like generally speaking, when things start to drop, like, investors are like, yay, but everyone else is like, holy crap, this is really scary. I think that we're already kind of seeing a shift. People are like, wow, it's costing me 3 times the amount just to work. Like, how am I gonna, I would love to buy a house, but I can't. I'm renting right now. I don't know.
So I'll give you this stat too. So over the last month, overall applications with lenders for mortgages has dropped only 1% over the previous year. I've actually personally seen uptake. Again, you have to look at the data of what's going on. It's the people who actually could afford to buy a house are buying a house. That's just the way it is. There was a lot of people who got in there that had no business.
Dude, it was lucky.
I know, they had no business being in there, and we all loved it. It was great and amazing for those clients that got into those homes at the time. But it's also, people are scared of this rate because like, this is still under the historical average of where rates are. Historical rate is 6%. We're under that still.
Yeah, for sure.
This is healthy.
I agree. I think that it has to be.
Yeah, so what happened over the last few years should have never happened. It was the government stepping in to buy their own debt, which is what caused this entire thing to happen. And then they go, uh-oh, what have we just done? And so they have to raise it. It's the only thing they had to do is completely unsustainable.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't, it's like economic collapse. I know, I agree. It's really good.
So, and to be honest with you, we've been due for a recession. We had that mini one in 2018 and the mini one in 2020, right? We haven't had a full-blown actual recession.
Right.
We have been on
2020 was 1 quarter, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't two.
it's not even a recession. Like it really wasn't. That's when the government stepped in to avoid that from happening. So we've been due for about, I don't know, what is it, 12, 14 years?
Yeah.
In that range, we've been due for one.
Yeah.
But historically, it's 12 to 18 months. You got a year and a half. So that's a big thing to also be speaking to any buyers you have is, hey, we just need to focus on the payment. Does the payment make sense for you? Knowing that in the short term, historically, we have a refinance opportunity where we're probably going to drop back down into the 4s.
Okay, so that was going to be where I wanted to conclude. Again, just for fun, no one's going to hold you to what you're about to say.
Besides you.
Prediction for January 1, 2023, interest rate will be.
We're probably going to be pretty close, if not a little bit higher now, just because we're not going to be a year out yet.
Oh, you don't think we're going much higher than this?
I think we're going to touch 6. We might go a little bit above 6, but no, I don't. They've already come out and said, hey, I don't think we're going to do the 0.75 jump up in rates. It's going to be half, but I don't know if we're really going to fully go much above 6, to be honest with you.
Give us like a hard and fast number, because I will.
Yeah, why
I don't
would
think
they do
they
that
know.
though?
I mean, I don't think they
literally
know.
have no idea.
Yeah.
They have no idea.
They have to see how adjusting the rates adjust.
No, I just want his prediction.
Oh, all right.
For
So firm number, if you had to predict.
Yeah.
Again, we're not, this is just for fun.
I think the highest that we will see is it's going to be between, it's either going to be 6 1/8 or 6 1/4. I think that's the highest we're going to see on these.
Okay, cool. And then date that the average interest rate will be 4% again.
Again, you're going to give it 12 to 18 months, so a year and a half.
2024.
It's going to be, yeah.
Beginning of 2024?
Yeah.
All right. You heard it here first.
You're welcome, everybody. Come yell at me when I'm actually right.
Okay.
So you're
You're right, I'm having you like predict some lottery numbers.
Don't do that.
Last question, favorite altcoin
For me,
to buy right now?
XRP.
XRP.
100%.
Last question, do you have a podcast that people can join?
No, I wish. We should probably start.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be good. I'd listen.
Well, yeah, you'd be forced
There'd
to.
be some.
Nobody else would listen. It would just be us and I ranting back and forth at each other.
Are you a crypto guy?
I got a little there. I nerded out way too hard on it.
I got a question, actually, I'll ask you.
Well, we'll wrap up the meeting. Does anybody else have anything they want to add? Thanks everyone for joining. This was fun. The coffee and food is awesome. So we'll see you guys next time for that. Oh, no, that's good. We'll talk about it next time. Rachel, agent of the month.
Agent of the month is Richard Miller.
Yay.
You've done fantastic. You had lots of stuff that you wanted to say about Richard.
We'll put it in the email. Okay, I haven't
We'll
had
email about it.
gotten
Yeah,
enough.
he's not here, so.
He's gonna be watching this and be like, "Did someone just say my name?"
That happens.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for joining, and yeah, we'll see you guys next Tuesday maybe. It'll be a Zoom meeting, but all right. Have a great week, everybody. Talk to you later.